Hello students, this is Professor McDermott. Well, in this video intro to Module 7, I'm afraid you won't be able to see my face. I'm having some technical difficulties, so I thought I would try it this way and see how it worked. So you can let me know which way you like better, if you like. Now, first important announcement, the chairs for Module 7 will be Danielle Givens for Group 1, Rachel Najee for Group 2, and Kyra Wilson for Group 3. And the sixth day of the module, that is the deadline day to make your initial posts in hopes of getting full credit for each question, will be Sunday, October the 30th at 11:59 p.m. All right, now let's recap these discussions on nationalism. Group 1, your author was Adam Mickiewicz. Mickiewicz was Polish, and he's writing in 1832, looking back on how the Poles lost their country, how it was partitioned by the Prussians, the Russians, and the Austrians, whom Mickiewicz calls the rulers of those nations the unholy trinity. And it's interesting, though, Mickiewicz had hopes that the Poles would get their nation back someday. And this essay is very biblical in the way that it sounds. He uses language that's very reminiscent of the Bible, and I asked Group 1 why. Tracy, you had an excellent response here. Quote, he patterned his language after that of the Bible in an attempt to breathe religious spirituality into the cause of Polish nationalism. He saw Poland destined, just like Christ, to return to glory. And Riva, you took this one step farther when you pointed out that Poland was made into a martyr by Mickiewicz. Now, of course, what's a martyr? Someone who dies for their beliefs. In the same way that Christians believe Jesus died for preaching the truth. So, Group 1, you're absolutely right. Mickiewicz really makes Poland, the nation of Poland, into a Christ figure, and says that its death and destruction, he implies, is really just like the crucifixion of Christ. But that implies that someday the resurrection will happen, and the Poles will get their nation back. And furthermore, that resurrection of Poland is going to have great consequences for the rest of Europe. Jack, you captured this nicely. He believes that other countries have wronged Poland, but that the country is not dead, but will rise again, excuse me, and become an example to the rest of Europe. This shows up in Europe's future with the defeat of Germany twice, when they began not treating all men as equals. And you make a very interesting point there. A lot of Poles really consider Mickiewicz to have been a kind of prophet who foretold some things in Poland's future in his writings. And one of them, in a different part of his writings, he says that one day there will be a Polish Pope. And of course that came true when Karol Wojtyła, that is Pope John Paul II, was elected Pope and was Pope for many years. And so, yeah, it's very, very interesting. But I think what we can take away from Mickiewicz is that sometimes nationalism could take on really religious overtones. And in some places, nationalism became like a religion. And that was especially true in Poland. Group 2 had a different author from a different country, the great revolutionary Giuseppe Mazzini from Italy, who also uses nationalism, connects it with really deep ethical ideas, not so much religious, but now moral or ethical ideas. And he points out that a country, which he always spells with a capital C, by the way, a country is more than just a territory. And in your answer posted by Tanya, you explained this very well. We as a group believe that what Mazzini means here is this: a territory is just a piece of land. To have a country, you must have a unity of men bound together in a brotherly accord. As one of our groups, Saloni, posted, It is the sentiment of love, the sense of fellowship, which binds together all the sons of that territory. Really, for Mazzini, to say that you have a country implies that you're part of a brotherhood or a fellowship of people who really care about each other and who are really looking out for each other. But that feeling doesn't stop at the borders of your own nation. It should extend to all humanity. Latasha, I liked your post on this topic. For Mazzini, duties to humanity take priorities over duties to country. In his view, human beings cannot perfectly fulfill their duties to country without understanding their duties to humanity. And that's an important point. Most nationalists really were obsessed with their own countries and tended to forget about the rest of humanity. But sometimes, as with Mazzini, you see that people saw nationalism as a way to build up not only their own country, but the entire world. Finally, as several of you pointed out, Mazzini believes nationalism is the key to everything, pretty much. That if Italians are able to build up a strong, unified nation, that it will create social equality, it will eliminate basically every other social problems, while at the same time promoting solidarity among all the citizens. I think Group 2, you were insightful to compare this to the feeling in the United States after 9/11, which I remember very well. So that shared experience and that shared trauma really did, at least for a time, bind the whole country together and create a sense of national unity and a very warm feeling among the citizens of the country. And that's definitely what Mazzini was looking for in Italy as well. Finally, Group 3, you had Chancellor Otto von Bismarck of the German Reich. It's interesting, Bismarck here shows how he was very willing to adopt liberal political viewpoints as long as they served his own nationalistic ends. For example, it was Bismarck who granted all males, all adult males in Germany, the vote. We call this universal suffrage. Why did he do that, though? Okay, is the question, you know. So, the people who said that he did it because it was the right thing to do, you weren't wrong by any stretch of the imagination. He did want to look like a righteous man by doing this. But as always with Bismarck, there's a deeper motive. And Austin, you correctly pointed out that Bismarck's secret reason for granting universal suffrage to adult males was that he knew that it would help provoke a war with Austria, and when that war came about, that it would guarantee that the war had broad-based support. People would be grateful for having been given the vote, and so they would fight that much more enthusiastically. Again, Bismarck is not opposed to all change, but he insists that it should be slow. Kyra, you said, I asked why does he want change to be slow, and you said, quote, things such as dictatorship, despotism, and absolutism may reappear. And of course, when he thinks of change, he always has in his mind France during the Revolution and how fast that change was and how destructive it was. So if there's change, he wants it to be slow and not revolutionary. Stephanie, you had a very good insight. You said that he felt that if the change was going to take place, it should be slow so that it would have a chance to change the mind of the people. And I think that's very true. You know, people are often very conservative deep down. We like stability. We like things to stay the way they are. And we're threatened by too much change. And so Bismarck, I think, does believe that if change is going to happen, it has to be slow, and you have to give the people time to get used to it, so it's not so threatening and upsetting. Finally, Bismarck did think that there was a place in society for the free press and for parliaments, legislatures, and several of you said correctly that his approach was to say that basically neither one should be allowed to get out of hand, neither the government nor the free press nor the parliament, and that they should basically check each other and resist each other with mutual friction so that nobody would be allowed to get the upper hand. So he sees it as a kind of antagonistic relationship, but a very necessary one for a modern society. Okay, good job on these discussions. Let's go to announcements. I have posted the extra credit assignment in Module 7. And you can get up to 100 points for completing this extra credit assignment, which is really pretty simple. So I encourage you to take a look at that. It's not due until December the 9th. Your second exam will be open November 4th through November the 8th, and if you plan to take this exam at the testing center on Darton's campus, you'll have to do that on either Monday or Tuesday, November 7th through 8th. If you are planning to use ProctorU, as I mentioned before, avoid after 7:30 p.m. On November 4th or before 7:30 a.m. on the 5th because of D2L's downtime that night. We have two new topics here: imperialism, which will lead us into consideration of World War I, and there will be 6 discussion questions this in Module 7. Finally, thanks to everyone who has submitted your essay drafts, and I will be looking at these very carefully and making a lot of comments. When I do this, it's kind of a long, slow process because I'm very meticulous about it. I will be sending the file back to you with my comments via D2L email as an attachment. So keep an eye out for those. But I'm not sure exactly how long this is going to take. I will work as fast as I can, but this will probably slow me down on grading the last round of discussion questions as well, because it's very important that I give you full comments on this to help you write your final stage of the writing assignment. If 11:59 p.m. on October 24th has come and gone and you have not turned in your essay draft yet, I will allow you to turn it in before 11:59 p.m. on Halloween night for 10% deduction. After that point, it would have to be a 0. All right, please feel free to email me or stop by my office hours if you have any questions, and hope you enjoy Module 7.